Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you're new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, make sure you click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I post new videos or when I go live. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, like all these wonderful people here today, you can join me most weekdays around 4 p.m. Central Time, where I go live on YouTube. And if you'd like to reach out to me outside of my live streams, a great place to reach out to me is through a Discord that I had created. There's a link for that down in the description below. Also, down in the description below is a link to a Pinterest board. A lot of times I get asked what kind of foods that we eat on our whole food plant-based diet, and that is a great place to find out some of the recipes that we've been enjoying. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you have any on-scale victories, I'm about to hop on the scale here. It is weigh-in Wednesday. If you have any on-scale victories, I'd love to hear those as well. If you're succeeding with your diet, what are you doing to succeed? If you are failing at your diet, what are you doing that's causing your failures? What are some things you're going to do that make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? It is weigh-in Wednesday. We're going to go ahead and switch over there. A few people checking in. Rick, Cindy, Tennis Girl, Pretty Girl's Mom, Jean, Cindy, Noelle stopping in for the first time, it sounds like here. Pretty Girl's Mom, Christy, and Bev. It's just after midnight in South Africa. That's amazing, Bev. You can't sleep, so you get to commune with all of you lovely folks and hang out with the family. Well, like I said, today is weigh-in Wednesday. Just a quick recap. I started this challenge on November 1st, 2020 with a starting weight of 519.8 pounds. Over the past 2 years, eating a whole food plant-based diet, I have been able to lose almost 230 pounds. Last week, I was 290.4. We're going to go ahead and hop on the scale and see what the weight is today. Sorry. It's not any better. Just doing all that fiddling around just to avoid getting on the scale there, I guess. So 291.8. So it's about a 1.5 pound gain since last week, which is unfortunate. And I'd never like to see the scale go in that direction, but it has been a common occurrence throughout this whole process. So I'm not, it's not new to me to have a weight gain. The frustrating thing for me right now is to have the weight gain and be doing really well with my diet. I talked a little bit yesterday that there are lots of things that affect your body weight. I don't think that, if I had a really fancy, expensive machine here that could measure my body fat percentage and the weight of my muscle and my bones and kind of measure everything, I do not believe that my body is 1.5 pounds of fat heavier now than it was a week ago. There's like I said, there's many things that can affect it, and it can even be that maybe the seasonal change that's happening right now has affected my weight. There's lots of things. The pants I'm wearing might be heavier than the pants I wore last week or have been wearing on there as well. But, there's lots of excuses I could come up with. uh, diet is not really one of them. You know, the one thing that I had eaten quite a bit of this past weekend was shredded wheat. And uh, for the people that have been bugging me about it, I have talked to Carrie, and I'm not going to have it in the house anymore. So that's going to help keep me from eating shredded wheat because it's never around outside of my house. And when it is home, then I do tend to eat quite a bit of it. Um, I am going to, I'm going to remove that from my house, but I also have to realize that I need to replace that food with something. So I'm going to maybe consume more potatoes at night or do something to help replace that volume of food just with something that it's maybe a little bit lower calorie density. The other thing with the shredded wheat that is, I think, one of the issues is how easy it is to prepare and make. And if it, it's easier than a lot of the better choices I could be making because I can make that in just a couple minutes and be done eating within 10 minutes. Where if I'm actually having to make potatoes or something like that, then I'm going to have to do a little bit more effort. Carrie's stopping in saying hello, Carrie. I don't know if you caught the weigh in, but I did gain a little bit of weight. It's all your fault for making such good food. Um, just teasing. But yeah, so that's something that that's a change that I made, I suppose 2 days ago now. So I'm not going to really see any reflection of that within today's weigh-in. Maybe only that I would have been heavier had we had shredded wheat in our house the last couple days because I would have had something else to eat. Um, and so let's see here. A couple things. Cindy was saying, you're confused when people say you can eat all you want on a whole food, plant-based, no oil lifestyle. If you want to lose weight and eat left of the red line, you can eat all the beans, grains, and pasta you want and still lose. Um, yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to say that um, and have a weight gain this past week, but not everything that I ate this past week was left of the red line. Like that would be what I would say about that. If I guess and there's, because you're looking at it from a weight loss standpoint, that it is going to be a lot slower weight loss than eating a calorie restrictive diet. If you eat a whole food, plant-based, no oil diet and limit your calories that you're eating in a day, you're going to see success faster than maybe somebody who's not limiting their number of calories. I believe that both people, if eating a diet that's left of the red line, um, eventually they're both going to be a healthy weight. The person that was eating at a calorie deficit or a calorie restricted diet may achieve that weight sooner. What I would worry about though is that in restricting your volume, that you end up getting yourself to a point where you get hungry and it gets harder to avoid temptation. Um, the other side of it is that when you're at a healthy weight, I think that you could definitely eat as much as you want on a whole food, plant-based, and salt, oil, sugar-free is the diet that I eat. It's a little bit different than no oil, but that you would be able to eat as much as that as you wanted. And if you were to see a gain in weight, you wouldn't necessarily need to be concerned about it, because I don't think that anybody eating a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet consistently and every day would be able to go from being a healthy weight to an obese weight. I can see like where I kind of have fallen here a lot in the past year is being at an obese weight and having a hard time losing it uh, at a fast pace. Um, Bev says, in response to Cindy here, that Healthy Emmy says you can't necessarily eat all you want and lose weight on a whole food, plant-based, no oil, starch solution, and you tend to agree with her. Yeah. And like I said, if time's the speed of light, like if I do this every day the rest of my life, I will be at a healthy weight eventually. And even eating the shredded wheat or eating some of those items that are right of the red line, I think eventually I would get to a healthy weight. But um, it's just the speed in which you want to do it. Carrie says that she should have made salad last night. Yes, she did ask me if I wanted Spanish rice and beans or if I wanted mega veggie chili, and I just told her to make what she wanted, which was the rice and beans, which I was fine with, and I enjoy it. Okay, yeah. Um, and then let's see. Healthy Emmy's YouTube today explains that there's a number of reasons why the scale is not reflecting your effort, including water weight, the weather, and many other things. Check it out. You are fine. I'm gonna have to check out this Healthy Emmy everybody's talking about. And yeah, I do not I'm not concerned about the scale today. Like that is something, I kind of went through and just looked at my past weigh-ins and I didn't get a chance to go way back. I only got a chance to go back 5 or 6 weeks. But the last 3 weeks, I've gained 2.5 pounds in the last 3 weeks. But prior to that, I had lost 7 pounds in 1 week. And then a couple weeks prior to that, I had lost 2 pounds. And so, as of a month ago, I was 296.6. So I'm 5 pounds lighter than I was a month ago. And I went back to kind of the beginning of October. I was 298.6. So I was right at that 300. And so that is um that's kind of what I look at too is the overall of it, like I'm 200 and what I don't even the math is probably easier now. 228 pounds. 228 pounds I've lost in 2 years and a half. 2 years and a half month. Um I'm pretty happy with that so far. Let's see. Bev says that she also talks about wet starches being better than dry starches. Yes, and that's something that some people have commented about with the shredded wheat, that it's more of a dry starch. And it's better to eat the wet starches. And I've seen a lot of that more recently. Uh, and that actually boiled potatoes actually fill you up more than the same amount of air fried potatoes. Okay. And we use it Instapot, so I don't even know what that's considered. But I know there's a lot of moisture involved when we cook our food in the Instapot. Um, Cindy says that you eat a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet and left of the red line, but you eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. You do need to lose weight, so patience is key. And then Chef AJ says a baked potato is more caloric. A baked potato is more caloric than a steamed or boiled potato. And Rick's asking, what is a wet starch? Well, so a wet starch is um, a starch that when you eat it, it has water in it, and or is so, like if you were to eat oats dry, then that's a dry starch. But if you soak the oats or cook the oats in water, then it turns them into a wet starch, I believe. Rice is more of an example. People don't really eat dry rice, but when you cook rice, you hydrate it, and so you turn it into a wet starch. And that's something that I've seen more of actually the last couple months than I had seen prior. And so I don't know if it's something, it could be something that's been around for a long time and I never saw it, or it's something that is becoming more common or popularly talked about now, that more people are eating this way. Um, Gene says that it seems that the weather has slows everything down, just not as active with the daylight changes. Yeah, uh, yeah, it's there's lots of things that it could be, and I'm not super. Again, I'm not super concerned about uh, that weigh in today. It was, uh, that the big thing, what screwed me up was having that 7 pound weight loss. If I wouldn't have had that 7 pound weight loss in 1 week, then I would still be down 5 pounds from that day. If I would have just lost a pound each week for the past 4 weeks instead of losing 7 pounds in 1 week and then maintaining that loss for 4 weeks, it would look better. It would sound better. It would seem better. But I also know that my body is gonna do lots of random things, and if it wants to level out here for 4 weeks, it's gonna do that, and maybe I'll get on next week and I'll be down 4 or 5 pounds again next week. Who knows? I will go over the food here since uh yesterday I don't know that I took a ton of photos, but yeah, we got a few different photos here from dinner last night and breakfast today. I did end up skipping lunch because I kind of knew that I was gonna show a weight gain, and if I'd eaten lunch, it would have been different, right? And that's kind of a thing I chase every so often with this challenge and the way I do things is that um I'll have it seems like I have to if I want to see weight loss, I have to fast going into this, or I tend to stop eating, which makes it more difficult to match that weigh in the following week because I didn't have lunch today. So next week, if I weigh in and I eat lunch, then that's going to affect it overall. But like I said, it's all about the overall trend of things. And so just a couple photos from dinner last night. We had Spanish rice and beans here. Very delicious dinner last night. Loved it. Probably had more than I needed to, but we also didn't have shredded wheat in the house. So I um was like, well, I need to make sure I'm eating more dinner or getting my fill of dinner so that I'm not running around crazy for food. Um, and then this morning we had our oatmeal for breakfast. Carrie was very sarcastic with me this morning, I think, because I asked if there was spinach in it, and she said, "Oh yeah, there's a ton of spinach in it," and then there was no spinach in it. So, um, she, um, but yeah, I really like it. And one of my coworkers saw it today, and he was like, "Is there carrots in your oatmeal?" I was like, "Oh yeah, it's really good having the carrots in there. It kind of sweetens up the oatmeal overall." And they were like, "There are just some things I never expect to see, and that is." And he's like, "Seeing carrots and mushrooms and onions and oatmeal is not something that I expect to see." And I offered, I was like, "You want to try a bite? You can try some." And they didn't want any. So, um, Bev says that you wonder about overnight oats. If overnight oats are a wet, raw, soaked in water oats, I'd say they may have similar calories to a wet, cooked oats. You notice that Chef AJ also said oats must be cooked. Yeah, I had, when I was interviewed with her, I had just kind of referenced that somebody had mentioned eating uh, rolled oats dry, and she kind of jumped on that about that not being a good thing to eat and not good for weight loss. The other thing that I've been uh, tossing around is uh, some of the things I've seen from True North or Dr. Goldhamer recently, they were talking about trying to lose weight. And one of the things that they had recommended was doing kind of an intermittent fasting. And what they had suggested was that you take, you kind of pick a cutoff time off at night, say 7, 7:30, 8, but you pick a cutoff time off at night, and then you don't eat anything after that point, and then you try to delay breakfast as long as you can. Um, and then that way it creates kind of a daily intermittent fasting window, which is something that I have thought about doing. And one of the reasons why it's difficult for me to do, or has been difficult, is because we've had things like shredded wheat in the house that are easy snacks for me to have at night. Or, the other thing would be to cut off the fruit, like even stop eating the apples, oranges, and bananas after 7 p.m. would be difficult for me too. But, and Rick says that you love dry oats, but you have to cut them out for a while. Yeah, I think that it's good to work on these things and realize and make changes. Like this is, me cutting out shredded wheat is the 5th thing I've cut out on this diet. I used to have Ezekiel bread and nut butter all the time. I used to have Ezekiel bread with avocado and mango salsa, which is amazing, which, but I can't eat that. I can't have it around because I eat a whole avocado in like 20 minutes because I eat so much of it. Juices. I've had to get rid of having juice as a regular part of my diet. And there's other things I can't think of right now. I used to have a lot more cashews, or have cashews around. The dried mango is stuff that I used to have I used to like to have around. And those are all things that maybe when I get to my maintenance, I can have them occasionally, or I could eat them more. But with my goal being weight loss, I need to get rid of those things. And the shredded wheat was something that I knew I know I've been needing to get rid of for a while now. And I guess in my head, I just kept thinking that I'm going to replace it with something. And what am I going to replace it with that's less calories than it, and that is as easy and enjoyable, because I cover it in pineapple. And that's really what I enjoy. And maybe just eating a can of pineapple instead would be better. I don't know. Probably not. Eating that much pineapple would probably not be good for me. But I am gonna get out of here today. I will have, I think, a little bit more time tomorrow. I got some things I got to get finished up with here at the office and then head home. So, I appreciate everybody who has been following along and has been supporting me. I do wish I could have shown a weight loss this week. I really can't imagine another week without seeing weight loss. And so next week I'm going to definitely see a weight loss. We'll see what it is. But I want to thank you guys again. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, get subscribed to the channel. If you haven't clicked on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live, click on the bell icon. If you haven't hit the thumbs up and commented down below, make sure you do those 2 things as well. Bev says that you practice nutrition for over 20 years and find that intermittent fasting is not wise for those of us with food addictions or disorders. We need to eat when we are hungry. Just make sure it's the right food. Yes, that is my concern about doing an intermittent fast, is that I force myself to undereat, and then I continually get these cravings, these temptations, and then I give into those temptations, because I don't have a great track record of not giving into the temptations, just like I'm sure many people that are watching this don't have a great track record. So yeah, do all those things, and I will be back tomorrow. Oh yeah, don't forget, get started right now. If you haven't started your diet yet, get started right now. There's no reason to wait. There's nothing coming up that's more important than your health, your overall well-being. If you started now, by the time Thanksgiving rolled around, you could be a week into your diet. You could already have seen major weight loss in the first week. And that success from the weight loss from that first week rolls into the holiday, and that gives you the motivation to make it through the holiday without succumbing to the temptations of the food that is around us. So you guys all have a great evening. Get started right now. I will talk to you tomorrow.